Gonzalez. Joan Sawyer.
Here.
Lackey.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
Santiago. Quorum is present.
Again, I want to thank the members for being here on time. It is so much easier when we start the day with a quorum, and even if you have to go off to another meeting, being here at 9 just allows us to go ahead as a committee. And again, you're all here, and I really appreciate it. So thank you all very much. I want to thank you very much, and we will now go on to Madam Vice Chair's bill. And that's item number 5, AB 160.
150?
Well, excuse me, 150. I'll get this right. So you may start when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Last November, the California voters passed Proposition 47, which fundamentally changed the criminal sentencing structure in this state. There were significant unintended consequences that have come to light, though. Prior to Prop 47, the theft of any firearm was considered grand theft, punishable as a felony. However, Prop 47 amended the statute, and now the theft of a firearm, as long as it does not exceed $950 in value, is considered petty theft. It's like shoplifting. Considering that the average cost of a handgun in California is $495, a traditional rifle is $625, and a shotgun is $880. I'm sure that's information that you are so happy to have, Mr. Chairman. It is clear that the current law is and will be ineffective in curtailing gun theft. Prop 47 also changed the penalty for the act of knowingly receiving and or selling a stolen firearm, commonly referred to as gun trafficking. Prior law stated that this could be charged as a misdemeanor or felony. Now gun trafficking is only considered a misdemeanor so long as the value, again, does not exceed $950. So simply put, AB 150 would restore the penalties for gun trafficking and theft of a firearm to what they were prior to Prop 47. We know that criminals, or one who steals a gun is not stealing it to go duck hunting. Okay, they're stealing it probably to go people hunting or commit some other type of crime. And I think that's the type of activity we are trying to curtail in this state last time I checked. AB 150 is joint authored by Assemblyman Adam Gray, who was unfortunately not able to be here today. But is also sponsored by the California State Sheriff's Association, the California Peace Officer Association, and it has received very strong support from numerous law enforcement agencies, district attorneys, and countless individuals. Here to speak in support of AB 150 is Amador County Sheriff Martin Ryan on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association, and Sean Hoffman on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses?
Good morning, Chairman Quirk and members of the Assembly Public Safety Committee. My name is Martin Ryan. I am the Sheriff of Amador County and the incoming President of the California State Sheriff's Association. Our association is proud to co-sponsor this bill, which would restore the penalty provisions for the theft of a firearm that were in place prior to enactment of Prop 47, and would also restore the penalties in place prior to Prop 47 for persons who knowingly buy or receive any property knowing that that property is stolen. Under Prop 47, if the stolen property is a firearm value below $950, the penalty is only a misdemeanor, the same penalty as it would be for stealing a television. The theft of a firearm is certainly a crime where Prop 47 penalty is far too low, considering the devastating consequences of stolen firearms being sold to or otherwise obtained by the violent criminal element in our society. Stolen firearms threaten the very safety of our citizens and our law enforcement officers. According to the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, those that steal firearms commit violent crimes with stolen guns, transfer stolen firearms to others who commit crimes, and create an unregulated secondary market for firearms, including a market for those who are prohibited by law from possessing a gun. Stolen firearms, regardless of value, are a very real threat to our communities. A firearm valued at less than $950 is no less deadly than one valued above that amount. Yet Proposition 47 says that their theft deserves a lesser punishment. This legislature has consistently and appropriately attempted to keep firearms from individuals that should not have access to them in order to protect our society. AB 150 falls squarely into that effort. And I would respectfully ask this committee to move this legislation forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, Sean.
Sean Hoffman on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association, also in support. Sheriff Ryan laid out the need for the bill in terms of protecting the public, so I'll keep my comments brief but want to address a point that was raised in the analysis. There seems to be a question of whether Prop 47 actually reduced the penalty for stealing a firearm, since grand theft involving a firearm remains a serious felony under 1192.7. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that grand theft of a firearm still exists, and when it does happen, it is a serious felony. However, the problem is that now, as was stated by the author and by Sheriff Ryan, theft of a firearm valued at under $950 is no longer considered grand theft. It's petty theft. It's a misdemeanor. Grand theft firearm is and has been a serious felony because stealing a gun is dangerous, not because stealing an expensive gun is dangerous. Drafters of Prop 47 have stated repeatedly that they did not intend to reduce the penalty for theft of a firearm, but unfortunately that's precisely what happened. Over the last 4 months in counties throughout California, people with prior convictions for stealing guns have been petitioning the court for resentencing or reclassification of those felonies to be misdemeanors, and courts are routinely granting those petitions. I asked a couple of counties just anecdotally what they've seen. In the last 4 months, San Diego's seen 19 of these. Kern County's seen 10. Tulsa's seen 11. So whether intentional or not, the language of Prop 47 is being interpreted in a way that makes the theft of most firearms petty theft. We believe AB 150 is a very good bill that addresses that issue and ask for your support.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support, name, association, and position.
John Lovell on behalf of the California Narcotic Officers Association, California College and University Police Chiefs Association, California Association of Code Enforcement Officers, and the California Correctional Supervisors Organization, all in support.
Thank you.
Timmy Ariane on behalf of the Association for Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs and Los Angeles Police Protective League, Los Angeles Deputy Probation Officers Union, AFSCME Local 685, and the Riverside Sheriffs Association, all in support of the bill, and commend the author of bringing forward a very good bill.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Members of the committee, Mr. President, Ed Ward with the National Rifle Association in support of the bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Tom Sheehy on behalf of the California Police Chiefs Association in support of this measure. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Tom Pedersen on behalf of the California Rifle and Pistol Association in support of the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Sam Paredes representing Gun Owners of California in strong support of this piece of legislation. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Sean Rundle with the California Peace Officers Association, proud to co-sponsor and support the bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. Tim Cromartie on behalf of the League of California Cities in support of the bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Barbara Ferguson representing San Bernardino County Sheriff John McMahon in support of AB 150. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. Marla Marshall on behalf of Sheriff Bill Gore and the San Diego County Sheriff's Department in strong support.
Mr. Chair and members, Ryan Sherman with Los Angeles County Professional Peace Officers Association, Long Beach and Santa Ana Police Officers Association, California Fraternal Order of Police, and Sacramento Deputy Sheriff's Association, all in support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Randy Perry with Aaron Reed and Associates on behalf of PORAC in full support of the bill.
Well, I think that's a clean sweep in law enforcement. Are there any other witnesses in support? Then witnesses in opposition. And perhaps we could give them a couple of places at the table. Please, two witnesses, 2 minutes each. Go ahead, Mr. Duplessis.
Mr. Chairman and members, Bill Duplessis on behalf of Tide Center and also Mr. Wayne Hughes, both combination of drafters and supporters of Prop 47. We do believe, as Mr. Hoffman indicated, that although there is no intent to allow the sale of guns to be considered a non-serious crime, And we don't believe that it does do that. And in that regard, we would oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Natasha Minsker for the ACLU of California. We respectfully oppose. Prop 47 was voted on just 5 months ago and overwhelmingly approved by the voters. The co-sponsors of this bill were the lead opponents of Prop 47, and they squarely presented all of these arguments to the voters. The voters were informed of these issues, and yet 59% of the voters voted in favor of Prop 47. There is no reason for the legislature to revisit this issue at this time. We respectfully urge your no vote. Thank you.
Other witnesses in opposition? And name, association, and position.
Lizzie Buchan, Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. We oppose.
Jesse Stout, Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. Oppose the bill.
David Bouchot with Legal Services for Prisoners with Children. Also oppose.
All right, then. Questions and comments from the committee?
Just
yeah,
briefly,
Assemblymember Gonzalez.
I'm going to support the bill. I make a motion to support the bill. And just
so a motion. Is there a second? Second by Assemblymember Lowe. Motion by Assemblymember Gonzalez.
I just want to note, as somebody who I believe endorsed, definitely supported Prop 47, that the problem with our initiative process is, quite frankly, it's written by some folks who don't necessarily, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, do things that we may not agree with. On the whole, I think it was a good initiative, but there are numerous loopholes that I think need to be fixed, and I'm proud to support this and other bills that come forward to close those loopholes. The initiative process is imperfect. That doesn't mean we in any way give up our right as legislators to try to fix it. So thank you for bringing forward this bill.
Thank you.
I'd like to make
other
a comment
comments?
real quickly as well.
Assemblymember Lackey.
I'd like to agree with Assemblymember Gonzalez that the initiative process is a powerful expression, and it's a tool to get ideas and circumstances addressed in a legal fashion. But I do believe that this initiative only allows this decision to go back to the voters to clarify whether, in fact, they did understand that component of Prop 47. And so I say that this is a very, very important clarification that could result in saving lives. And so it's definitely worth that review.
Thank you. Other members? Very well. You may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will keep my close brief. I appreciate the comments by the committee members, and it was not my intention to give the impression that I was trying to upend what the voters decided, because that's why we have this process, so voters can decide. And so I agree with that. But I do also think that there is some ambiguity as to whether or not the voters believed that they were voting on this particular part of the measure. So while I respect what our representative from the ACLU had to say about this whole process, I think that since it wasn't the intent of the proponents of this proposition to make this a misdemeanor, then there is no harm in making sure that is crystal clear to the judicial system and the law enforcement community on what is a felony and what is a misdemeanor. So I would ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
And I think that was an excellent close, which I agree with. Something that everyone who spoke today agrees on is that this should be a felony. Theft of a handgun. So we all agree on that. Now, and the representative of the district attorney is telling me now that things are, in fact, that it is now more difficult to call this a felony, that in courts they are now calling it a misdemeanor. So while it was certainly not the intention of the people of 47, and certainly I voted for 47, and I very much thought that it would be the case that this would not become a misdemeanor. It's just not clear. And while the proponents of 47 can make a case, and I think a good one, that they would eventually prevail in court if this is appealed, it's just not certain. We never know what the judges are going to decide. Should they decide, as the proponents of 47 say, that gee whiz, this is still a felony, this does not have to go before the voters. This would simply be an affirmation. And again, in no way should this be seen as something which is overturning 47. It is simply making the intent of the people who wrote the bill clear. And for that reason, I enthusiastically support this bill. So, and I also want to compliment Madam Vice Chair. She came to me weeks ago with this bill, and she said, Bill, you know, did this make a difference? And I worked for weeks with staff to see if there was a smoking gun that we could say, gee whiz, no.
Pardon the pun, right?
You know, I'm a humorous chair. I'm not as good as my predecessor, assembly member. However, I do occasionally break into humor. I wanted to see if there was a way that we could be sure how this would be interpreted. And with the courts, you just don't know. Had the initiative been written a little differently, we wouldn't be here. But I think we're in the right place now. And again, I very much support this bill. So, having been a motion and a second, Madam Secretary, you may call the roll.
Quirk?
Aye.
Quirk, aye. Melendez? Aye. Melendez, aye. Gonzalez? Gonzalez, aye. Jones Sawyer? Jones Sawyer, aye. Lackey? Lackey, aye. Lowe? Lowe, aye. Santiago? Santiago, aye.
I want to thank you very much for bringing this bill forward. It is out unanimously. I want to thank the committee for being here early and often, and I will see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.